Peter Schrager, Nate Burleson, both here. Malik Jackson is on the show. Scott Pioli joining us this hour as well. But we kick it off like we always do on a Tuesday morning. Kyle, take it away.
Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. Let's take a look at these Steelers. Let's start with a shot of this great Steelers D-line and the image of Joe Green and James Harrison and all those warriors of seats. This was before the game. That's Juju dancing on the Bengals logo. This is during the game. This is the Bengals dancing upside Juju's chin. That was a big hit, and that was Von Bell. And afterwards, it wasn't a coincidence. He thought it was disrespectful.
Doing a lot of dancing on other people's logos. What's your take on that pregame ritual?
It's kind of disrespectful. Because you got to go out there between the lines, go out there and hit him, and let him know where he stands.
He wasn't standing at all after that one. The ball was separated for him by about 50 feet, and then we got finger pointed on the sideline. Meanwhile, for the actual football, for those interested, Ben Roethlisberger, how's his brand? It wasn't great. Down 10-0. Picked, and one of those bad picks, one of those how did he not see it coming pick. We got high-stepping Bengals on the sideline, and perfect. A terrible penalty at the end of the play when the defender was about 5 yards out of bounds, or it's Mackenzie Alexander who gets a 15-yarder tacked onto it. So Ben has the worst half of his career, and I'm not exaggerating, the worst half of his career, down 17-0 to Ryan Finley's Bengals. All right, we got points. Deontay Johnson, actually one of the more reliable Steelers last night after what he's been through. But they're still down. Fourth quarter, certainly the Steelers are going to turn it on, right? They're not going to lose 3 in a row with the playoffs around the corner. Ryan damn Finley is out the door. Gone. Steelers defense, he's finger rolling on the 11-0 team. And I like it. I'm here for it. If that's more palatable to young people, Juju's saying, like, I don't think they like that dance. And Ben's like, what? You dance on their logo? Let's talk about it. Good Morning Football. 27-17. Let's hear afterwards as the Bengals win on their home field by 10 points. Some of the principals involved. Zach Taylor, congratulations, my man.
We gave everybody a game ball today. You know, it's been a long 5 weeks, really, since the bye. And again, for these guys to have this type of energy every single day they come in the building, waiting for a moment like this, you know, that's not something we do often, but these guys, they come to work every day. I'm proud of them, and everyone deserves to cherish this night.
Congratulations to those Bengals. Very, very exciting, huge win. We take a look at the playoff picture, though. The Steelers, yikes. They've now slipped to the 3 seed. The Bills move up to the 2. Everything coming up Buffalo. Now, the Steelers, if we take a look at the remaining schedule, they play the Colts week 16. Not an easy matchup at all by any stretch. The Browns play the Jets. So, yes, if the Steelers lose and the Browns win, and those things look pretty likely, that week 17 matchup between the Steelers and Browns in Cleveland will, in fact, decide the AFC North. Welcome to the 2020 season, y'all. Biggest concern, Nate, with the Steelers right now?
Biggest concern is that they don't have any rhythm in the passing game. And I know you could point to James Conner and say, well, he was on the sideline, he would have helped. I don't believe that James Conner would have helped with the passing game. So for me, it's how do you recapture some of that magic we saw earlier in the season? Of course, Juju, he's going to be criticized for dancing on the team's logo because they're not playing well. If they were winning, we wouldn't say anything. So he could take it just like he took that shot in the game. You know, you have these drops that are happening occasionally. Big Ben was bad in that first half. He was missing guys downfield. He missed Claypool on one of those plays that could have been a big shot. And speaking of Claypool, I feel like they got to feature the young man a little bit more. I'm not saying he's the answer. I'm not saying he's the GOAT. I'm not saying he's the go-to. But when you give him plays like this, a quick screen, and it helps put his team in position to score, and they do score, you should feature the guy who's big, fast, strong, has a catch radius like a garage door. How about you give him the ball a little bit more? When the offense needed to move the chains, they actually started to go to him. In this drive, they went to him a couple times in a row, and he helped these guys move along. For me, Claypool has such a big frame, and he has these subtleties and intricacies that helps him either go up and catch the ball when it's the 50-50 ball, him and the DB. But if he doesn't catch it, majority of the time, it's a pass interference. So if you have that type of talent, go ahead and use that type of talent. So that pass game, it has to get going, because right now there is nothing. And Claypool is one of those guys that can provide spark just like he did last night.
The biggest concern is 2 numbers. Their final record, 11-6. 11-6 would be they lose the next 2 games and they lose in the first round of the playoffs. What reason would anyone have to believe that this team that we saw last night is going to beat the Colts or beat the Browns or beat anyone from the AFC? I don't think the Steelers could beat the Jets right now. And I'm not even exaggerating. It's gone that bad, that fast. And here's the worst part. They just lost the get-right game. You can't lose the get-right game. You lose those 2 games, fine. The 11-0 thing, undefeated. It's a burden. It's over. You get right against the Ryan Finley Bengals, and you get your mojo back. You can't lose that game. Otherwise, you can't beat anybody. And here's what I looked it up. From a few days ago, Roethlisberger, after they lost 2 in a row, he's asked, what do you think? How do you feel? His message to the team after losing 2 going into this game, quote, "It's not the end of the world." He said if the playoffs started this week, we'd have a problem. But the fact is we got a few weeks to get it right. And, quote, "We've got time." Time's out, Ben. You don't have time. You're on a 3-game losing streak, and it looks like you've aged 20 years in the last 10 days. Like, I don't know where he is physically, if it's the arm, if it's the head, but I don't recognize the guy I saw last night from the guy I saw even 6 weeks ago. There is no time. They're having problems before the game, but more importantly, I think Steelers fans would say the TikTok stuff, okay, the problem is our offense is terrible. Real football. Can't lose the get-right game, and if you lose that one, you're going to lose the wild card game.
Yeah, and I did a piece last week on teams that started off 11-0, then lost consecutive games. Only one team ever has lost 3 games in a row after starting 11-0 and won the Super Bowl. It was the Saints in 2009 with Breeze and Peyton, and they rested all their starters those final games. So there's no real precedence here of them suddenly getting great and waking up. It's ugly. And, let's see the Juju video again, because this is going to be catnip for all of the media this week. I understand he's an influencer. I understand he makes a lot of money on TikTok and he's connecting. The part that really rubs me wrong is the logo stuff. And I think that's fair. Like, to do this, I mean, this sounds pretty dramatic, but it's almost like a family crest. Like, for Bengals fans and for Bengals players, that logo means something. So when you and Claypool go out there and you dance and you spike it, it only adds fuel to the other team, and it disrespects them. I don't know. They're filming each other, and I understand this is a different generation, and I don't speak in those terms, and I probably sound like an old man yelling at a cloud. But then there's this. There's this offense that looks like a 65-year-old or 85-year-old man trying to operate. So you've got this flash and sizzle and this millennial feel before the game, and yet you go out on the field and you look like this pedestrian, old, tired offense. It almost reminds me of like the guy on your block who was in his 3rd marriage and in his 70s, yet was driving the sports car and had it and bought it because he's going through some midlife crisis. It all leads to this. Identity. I don't know. Are they cool, hip, and young, or are they this slow, plodding team with an aging quarterback and a really aging offensive line and no running game? It's certainly not the Steelers I remember. Enjoy the TikTok. I'm not knocking you for it. Do you have to do it on the logo?
Right. Okay, Schrags, but when the team was winning, when they were undefeated, did we even notice that he was doing it on the logo? Did we even care that he was doing it on the logo? Now, all of a sudden, they're struggling, and now we're pointing out all the things, like Kyle said, that has nothing to do with football. I get it. If it's a family crest and you want to say that's disrespectful, if there's a player on the team that says, yo, you're on the logo, bro, like chill out. I'm gonna knock your block off when we line up in between the white lines. But if they were winning, or if they won this game, would we even have a problem with him doing it? That's my biggest question to everybody that's like, oh, these damn kids.
And let me ask you, and again, this might be out of school. Isn't it a little corny? Isn't it kind of cheesy? I think it's really lame. And I know that TikTok is an influencer medium, and I might not speak that language. To go and do that on the other team's logo, knowing that it's causing issues and it's disrespectful and the other team's motivated by it, isn't that sort of selfish, Nate? A little bit? I don't know. And I like Juju. To me, I don't understand it.
Schrags, we're 39, bro. There's a different language. There's a different way of living that these young kids, young athletes move by. They move by the beat of their own drum and the moves by their own dances they do. So for us to sit here and say, all right, we don't necessarily understand it, which we're right for saying it. I mean, my daughter, a 10-year-old daughter, said, hey, Daddy, you need a TikTok. We danced for about 2 days straight, and I said, baby, I can't do it. I just don't have the energy. I got jobs and bills to pay. I can't be out here in the mirror rehearsing with you, baby. I love you. You look awesome. So I hear what you're saying. I just feel like we have to get over the fact that this new generation is going to move a little bit differently for the years to come.
Okay.
I was with Nate last week Peter, you did are you in or you out? And I said, I don't see the big deal. I think in the heat of the moment, when T.O. runs, scores a touchdown, and then disrespects the logo in that moment of the game, that's one thing. Pre-game, I was like, it's pre-game. But I completely was ignorant to how deep this logo stuff goes, even with the younger generation. Like, I went back and I saw an article from a couple of years ago where Julio Jones saw a reporter with his foot on the logo and said, man, don't step on the bird. That's our logo. We all know what happened when Justin Bieber stepped on the Blackhawks logo in Chicago. Everyone went crazy. There's such a swelling sense of pride with that I think I was even a little bit more lenient. Like, it's TikTok. Do I think that Juju's out there disrespecting the other team? No, I think he wants to collect a TikTok dance on every logo in the league. The question is now, Kyle, and I would love to hear, what is Tomlin doing about this? Because now it's not him doing something cute and something that's not nefarious. It is something that's affecting the team. It's affecting them. We're talking about it, and those hits are happening, and it's giving the other team something to rally around. So if you're Juju, do you stop? Do you double down? Because last week when we had this discussion, Kyle, you said he's got to go back out there and do it again. Well, he did, and we saw what happened.
He did.
Yeah, it's a great question. I agree that I think the logo thing is significant, and I also think it's really rooted in college. It's a very college thing to protect the logo, and we've seen different players scuff the logo, and we know what Baker Mayfield went through. Juju played at USC. He understands that. I also think doing it against a bad team at the end of a losing season like the Bengals is not cool, and I think it incites a reaction about we're miserable, we're in Cincinnati, I'm pissed off, screw you, and we're gonna fight you. That was also a bad move. And to answer your question, Mike Tomlin has to say, this has now become a football topic. I'm trying to let these kids do whatever they want. Fine, I don't care. You're now having players on the other team explicitly say, this pissed us off, this motivated us. Not Josh Allen did it, all the Bengals guys did it. So, Mike, you guys are on a 3-game losing streak, and you're getting embarrassed by dances before the game. Shut that crap down. Say that's enough, and if I see it again, I'm not playing you. You think Mike Tomlin hasn't been down this road? We're doing cameras in the locker room afterwards. We're doing A, B, he's been down this road. Mike, you're on a 3-game losing streak. It might be time to flip a table, and it might be time to throw a phone against the wall. Make it number 19s.
Shrakes, he did this against Buffalo not long ago.
Hey, why are you shaking your head?
The way that they
I'm
were
right.
looking, he'll have to go to Buffalo, Shrakes. Does he do it in Buffalo again in the playoffs?
I gotta say, Nate and Kay, I don't think he should do it ever again. But Nate, you're on an island here. Defend the TikTok, because I think, honestly, I'm confused by your take.
Not the TikTok, the logo TikTok. That's different.
On the logo. Yeah,
that's fine. That's fine. When I played, I remember playing against the Dallas Cowboys in Jerry World, and everybody tells us how great the stadium is, and the screen's so big and it's so fancy. They got cheerleaders and go-go dancers, and they got suites in the ground. Oh, it's gonna be awesome. You know what I thought? On the plane ride, I was like, as soon as I get in the end zone, I'm stepping on the star, I'm drawing one, and I'm punching right through that thing. Guess what? I scored, and I did exactly what I said I was gonna do. Was that disrespectful? Yeah.
Not on the logo.
I meant it to be disrespectful. And we won the game. I did it on the logo in the end zone. And I looked at the fans and I told them I was going to come back and do it again. And then Calvin Johnson did it a quarter later when he scored. The point I'm trying to make is we won the game and we kicked their butts doing it. If they win, we're not having this conversation. I feel like dancing before a game on a logo or not has nothing to do with how bad the Steelers are playing. Now, to your point, Kyle, if Tomlin's like, look, we're having too much fun and we're not winning games, we got to shut down all of this stuff. In the locker room, before the game, in our own locker room, let's focus on winning some games now. I don't think it's just one specific thing before the game on the other team's logo. I just feel like one thing has to do with social media, another thing has to do with bad football. Let's address the bad football.
I like everybody's take here. I'd love to hear everybody's on Twitter at GMFB. Let us know. And I'm sure this conversation isn't going anywhere. Tom Pelissero joining us right now to give us the latest headlines around the league. Tom P., thanks for hanging out and getting heated here over the TikTok action here. Let's keep it in the East. Let's talk Daniel Jones, Alex Smith. They were out on Sunday. Are they back for my fantasy championship?
Okay, Daniel Jones' status is up in the air again for Sunday's game against the Ravens. He has been dealing with hamstring and ankle injuries that kept him out last week. Coach Joe Judge was asked yesterday and really dismissed a question about whether or not the playoff picture factors into the decision, saying that the standard remains the same. My concern has been his health to make sure he can go on the field and protect himself. If the course of practice shows that Jones can't go, it would be Colt McCoy making his third start in 4 weeks. Giants are also hopeful that they are going to get back their offensive coordinator, Jason Garrett, out of COVID protocols and have him call the game against the Ravens. As for the first place Washington football team, Coach Ron Rivera has already made clear Alex Smith remains the starting quarterback if he is healthy. Smith has been dealing with that calf strain that kept him out last week. I'm told he remains day to day. They are hoping he's going to be able to get some practice work this week and have a chance to play against the Seahawks. His backup, Dwayne Haskins, was uneven last week, threw a couple of interceptions. Worth noting, they do have 2 other quarterbacks on the active roster, Taylor Heineke and undrafted rookie Steven Montez. Okay.
Oh, thank you so much for the deep dive on the depth chart. Appreciate